From a professional soccer career to becoming a driving force in the mortgage industry, Brian Covey has shown what it takes to find your competitive edge. Get off the sidelines and get in the game. Find your competitive edge with Brian Covey.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Finding Your Competitive Edge. So today we are blessed to have a great guest that we had tried to connect up once before. You know how things work. I think God always has a great time for when people end up on the show, and we have a message today. So you're going to buckle up, because many of you are always asking me the question, and how do I monetize my personal brand? How do I grow my personal brand and actually reach the customers and people that I want to? How do I grow and scale a team? I've got an idea, I've got a company, I've got something that I really believe in, and I want to grow that today. So our guest today, Mark Lack, has actually not only done that, we were talking about just exiting a company, got 2 other companies he's built. I can't wait to hear his story from starting in paintball and now into entrepreneur. He's had a podcast for over 4 years. He speaks on stages nationally, worked with people like Tony Robbins, Dean, who you guys will know, all these names, and even Grant Cardone. So he's got lots of experience that you're going to want to tap into today. So we're going to ask the fun questions. We're going to make sure that you guys get all of the information that you need to go out there and win and be successful. So Mark, welcome, my friend.
Good to be here, brother. I'm excited. I know we've been working to get this scheduled, so we finally got it here.
It's funny how that stuff works too. You know, I think back to we were talking about even before, with COVID and trying to schedule things, and guys like us, we're going so many different directions, and with kids and stuff, it's like I think it happens when it's supposed to happen. So today is going to be a ton of fun. And man, I want to start here because as I'm prepping for this, I look back and I didn't know this about you. It's one of those, if you dig deep enough, you'll find it. But I was no good at paintball, right? I did sports and some other things that were with a ball usually, but you're over here doing paintball and quite successful. So I'm watching that. So let's give everybody a little bit of story into how that experience started for you and what that looked like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short and we can go deep if you want, but I didn't do well in school. So my parents were like, we got to get you into sports, because otherwise you're just going to flounder around and get into trouble. So my parents did everything possible to put me in all the sports. My dad was semi-pro in basketball and didn't go into the NBA because my wife was like, or not my wife, my mom at the time, his wife was like, you have to decide, do you want to raise a family or do you want to go and travel the world? And he said, I want to raise a family. That's what matters more. And so he dropped his dream of going all the way in basketball and started a business. And so my dad was super into sports, is the point. So he was like, I got to get my boys into sports. So he was pushing my brother and I into sports. My brother ended up being like a computer programmer. And I ended up not liking any of the sports, but weirdly gravitated towards paintball, which is really a thing that people do at a birthday party or on the weekend for fun. Sure. I took it all the way to the very top. I was one of the top 10 players in the entire world, and I was making 6 figures in high school, so over $100,000 in high school, which only perpetuated my hatred for school, because I was like, I'm making more than my teachers. Why do I need to learn this nonsense when I'm already making more money than my teachers? So I had that immature ego as a kid, starting to make money and have some success, and it made me not like school even more. So my parents were like, uh-oh, at least he has something to keep him out of trouble, but it didn't help bridge the gap to wanting to do well in school. So my parents was like, okay, if you're not going to do well in school, you just have to pass. We basically came to an agreement. I just had to pass. So I was one of the top 10 players in the world, traveling all over the globe. I traveled over 250,000 miles just in high school and another 250,000 miles in college around the world: Amsterdam, Paris, London, Belgium, Germany, Canada, 42 states in America. I got to see a lot of cool culture and parts of the world that most kids in high school and college, and some people never get to see, I got to experience at a young age, which gave me, I think, a really cool perspective on life. And I got to also get paid to be able to do it and understand the principles of what does it take to be successful, because for people who listen to the show and read books and have done any personal development, you start to recognize there's patterns of success, patterns of good relationships, patterns of healthy people, patterns of successful businesses, and there's patterns of what make individuals successful regardless of what that thing may be. And so I learned those patterns of success early on through paintball, of all things. And then I was able to translate that over into starting business. And some of those patterns, just in really simple terms, and we can dig into this if you want, is you got to find a mentor or a coach or a consultant or an advisor. The terminology is really irrelevant. What it means is who's already achieved the result that you desire to have. A 50-year marriage, happily ever after, incredible mental, physical, spiritual, whatever, financial, who's already achieved what you want. And is there a way that you can learn from them? And luckily, we live in a world now where incredible people like yourself, myself, Tony Robbins, all these people, usually successful, smart people, tap into the internet to share their wisdom so that it can live on forever and have a ripple effect. Because at some point, money is not what the game is about. It's about impacting and service. And so the internet allows us to take our wisdom, knowledge, experience, and stories and our message and share it with the world to hopefully create a bigger impact. And so for me, I was able to bridge hating school to paintball. And weirdly enough, coming from a background of rebelling against the school education system, I found myself becoming somebody who's a teacher in the education system, self-education, not formal education, and teaching people online. And it all started, and ironically, I have a bunch of books behind me. I've read all of them. It all started because of Tony Robbins, ironically enough, who I've had the privilege to be able to connect a little bit more with in real life, not just through books and YouTube and seminars. But yeah, paintball was a really cool time in my life. It taught me a lot of the principles of success, which I carried into my entrepreneurship career, which allowed me to go right out of my college career. And rather than going straight into getting a 9-to-5 job or working my way up the corporate ladder, I actually took the leap of faith, and I had a little bit of money saved up. My parents luckily steered me in the direction of save up some money. And I learned early on what taxes meant. So I understood what paying taxes was. So I saved up a little bit of money, and I wasn't smart enough, right? I wasn't smart enough to get into a nice college. So I had to go to junior college, which is a good thing because it didn't cost a lot of money to go to junior college. And so I was able to save up even more money than most people who, unfortunately, my personal opinion, waste tens of thousands of dollars getting their freshman and sophomore degree, at an associate's degree at an expensive college. Like some of my friends went to LMU and UCLA and San Diego USD. And that was like $100,000, $200,000 back then. Back when I went to school, it was $100,000 to $200,000. And ironically enough, one of those people never got a job. He came straight out of college and worked for me. So he spent $200,000 on an education that was irrelevant because I didn't care. Point is, I got into self-education. It changed my life. And paintball, weirdly enough, was like the spark that kind of ignited the whole thing for me to become a multimillionaire in my 20s. And now I'm 33. Happily married, have a sweet little girl who's turning 2 next month, and it's the rest is history. We can dig into all of it. So.
Hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes. I love the story too, for people listening out there. Never discount the fact, whatever your story and whatever you went through, whatever you did, whether it was paintball or something else. I think people, they just discount that part of the journey. And I love that you traveled overseas. I did that with soccer, and I tell people, like, it wasn't the soccer, it was the travel and meeting people and the lessons you learned through that. Whatever you've been through in that experience, man, has uniquely qualified you to do what you do today. So as you listen to Mark's story, think about how these things start to relate in your own life. And I love you said this too, because there's something I realized with you, and you said it, is although you weren't into studying in school, and I wasn't either, man, so I can relate to that. It wasn't until like late in my junior year, senior year, where like, you got to score a certain on your SAT, ACT to go play college soccer. And I'm like, I got to get my grades together, right? So it's like, let's do it. But I was really doing it for sports. Let's be real. And I love how now you turned, though, to that personal development. And people like Tony Robbins, I think we all have a common thread at some point in our life. Guys like that have touched us. Tell me about that and reading books, because you say that and you share that often about how reading books and gathering that information has really helped you. And I'd love for you to expand on the fact that we know people that buy books and never open them, never read them, maybe read a chapter, don't do anything with it. Tell me about how that's impacted your journey.
Yeah, it's funny because I used to just hate reading books with a passion. And it was really helpful for somebody to help reframe what reading books actually meant for me. So there's two reframes. One of them is everything you desire to have in life is hidden inside the pages of books. You just have to go and find the book and dig through the pages to find it. And the things you're finding are patterns. Everything in life can be achieved or unlocked and experienced through finding the pattern. And so somebody told me that. And so I was like, oh, that's a fun way to look at it. Like a game. I just got to find the book and dig through the pages. I don't even have to read them word for word because our brains aren't going to remember every word. Our brains are only going to remember the 1 or 2 or 3 massive things we take action on. And nothing changes. Even if you do remember the whole book, nothing changes if you don't take action. And you can only take action on so many things. So if every book has 1 or 2 action steps that you can find, one golden nugget, and you take action on it long enough, you can compound that action and eventually get results. Just like going to the gym isn't going to change your life once. But if you go to the gym every single day or 5 days a week or whatever your regimen is, that compounded action over time will have an impact. And I think a lot of times people don't find the pattern. And then if they somehow do have the pattern, they don't do it long enough. They don't let compounding kick in. So that's one thing. Look at digging through books and courses as finding those patterns, those golden nuggets, and then take action on them long enough so you can compound the results. The second one is a quick little story where Brad Sugars, he's like a billionaire, and I was at a seminar when I was 18 years old. And I remember sitting in the back of the room, and I was just a kid, and everyone else is in suits and ties, and they're business professionals. And this guy's on stage, and he says, how many of you successful business people would shovel elephant poop if every single day you only had to do it for an hour? You have 24 hours in a day, just 1 hour a day, you had to shovel elephant poop. But at the end of 10 years, you shoveled elephant poop every day for 1 hour. At the end of 10 years, you could have any amount of money, any goal, anything that you've ever wanted in life. You could have it. You just have to shovel poop every day for 1 hour. How many of you would do it? Everybody's hand went up, including mine. And I was like, everyone here is like an adult, right? I'm an 18-year-old, and everybody's hand is up. And then he said, all right, well, the good thing is you don't actually have to shovel elephant poop. You can just replace that 1 hour of shoveling poop with reading a book. And if you read the right books for 1 hour a day, every day for 10 years, and you take action on what you learn, I guarantee you'll have very close, if not surpassed, whatever it is that you think you want, whether it's $1 million a year or whatever. And I remember being there at 18, I was like, oh my God, if I can make $1 million a year. And, I'm grateful to say I make a lot more than that. But it was the idea that it was like, I actually at the time associated reading with shoveling poop. They were both like disgusting activities for me that I resented wanting to do. And yet I was like, wow, I would shovel poop for an hour a day. So then therefore I should read every day for an hour. And I just said, I'm all about shortcuts, leverage, collapsing time frames. And AI is a great thing to do that. We can talk about AI if you want. But what I said was, okay, well, if this guy's saying read an hour a day, then I'm no math expert, but what if I read 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day? What if I read 8 hours a day? And so my brain was just going nuts, compound. Like, what if I could achieve millions of dollars that he's saying in 10 years? I could do it in 2. So I just started consuming every possible book, literally 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day. I would ditch school and I would go down to the beach where all the mansions are, and I would read these books. And I would be like, someday I'm going to have those houses. It's because of this information. I'd listen to Tony Robbins and I'd read Jay Abraham and all these other incredible mentors. And just what a powerful way to reframe looking at books, because those two different ways of reframing it changed my entire life. And I think sometimes what's holding us back is not that we don't know what to do, but we just haven't found a reason. We haven't been compelled enough or convicted enough. We haven't found that reason why we need to commit to going to the gym, that reason why we need to commit to reading or improving or whatever, being uncomfortable. And so for me, those two reframes helped change my life because it allowed me to read, which then allowed me to take action. And that ultimately changed my life. And now I get to see the life that my daughter gets to have because of the choices that I've made over the last 10 years. I won't say who, but I have family members and I have friends who they made different choices. They did the standard route. They went to school, they got a job, and some of them have lost their jobs because of the tough economic times right now, and they don't have an income. And I'm over here like, I remember when a couple 10 years back, they looked like on paper, they were going to be super successful. And I looked like I was going to go to prison or work at some place that would not be desirable. And here I am as a multi-millionaire, and I'm able to do whatever I want, and I don't have to even work ever again if I don't want to, because my passive income alone is 7 figures. So like I make $1 million a year if I never work, if I sleep, if I'm sick, if I'm dead. My wife will get the millions of dollars and set up in the trust. I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm only 33. And it's because of these decisions I made to read books, to take action, and to capitalize on trends. And one of those trends is online marketing and leveraging a personal brand, which is ultimately what I did for the last 10 years. I exited that company, and now I have 2 other companies. And we got a lot of fun stuff we could talk about. I want to transition though, so we can give the audience here some powerful action steps, because I don't like talking about myself, because I want to be able to dive in and help the community and the audience listening here. But now we've set the foundation for how I got to where I'm at.
Yeah, and I think it does set the foundation for people that may not know you, or they may know you, right? And I tell everybody, it's like, it's not bragging, it's not egotistical when you've actually accomplished the results that you have. I think it is important for people to go, wow, by that age, you did these things. These are the common denominators. I can see myself in that story, right? So I love that you went down that path. Let's talk about some of that, because you have mastered some skills in some arenas with the online marketing, with personal branding. And I think a lot of people still struggle. I know we were joking beforehand and we were talking, you're like, it's easy. For most people, Mark, it is not easy, right? I mean, that's why people
only because I know the patterns. We were for context. He asked me, he said, let's talk about personal branding. A lot of the audience could benefit from getting more attention, impacting more people, helping them generate revenue and leads for their business. And I was like, oh, that stuff's so easy. And just for context, right? And it's because of the patterns. I know that it's like asking a super, super fit person, like, oh, talk to my audience about getting healthy. They're going to be like, that's so easy. Because if you ask a professional, is it easy? And I'll say it's easy. But what's hard is the committing to it. It's so easy to tell yourself stories. I'm not good enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not articulate enough. Why me? Who's going to listen to me? Imposter syndrome. Who am I to be giving advice? You know, I got a hateful comment or message that was super disrespectful. Oh, I should just give up. There's all these reasons why you will talk yourself out of not sticking to the regiment, of not following the patterns. The patterns are easy. I can give you guys as many as I can in the time that we have together. But the biggest thing is that one person, 2 people, 3 people are going to take those and they're going to commit to it. And then other people are going to just be like, oh, I think I might have heard that before. And they might not do anything with it.
That's right.
Or they may say, that's amazing. They write it down and then they get busy and they get back into their pattern of their life, which is a pattern. You get stuck in the pattern. Every day is the same. And the kids, and I got to pick them up and I got to do this. And it's just like, oh, I'm so tired at the end of the day. I just want to watch my favorite show and relax. And that's fine. But the biggest reason people don't succeed is because they just don't commit to learning the pattern. And then if they find the pattern, someone gives them the pattern, they just don't stick to it long enough.
Yeah. Same in business, life, sports. It's all the same. So let's jump into those. Some of those patterns that you've been able to recognize and identify and even create around that online marketing and personal branding. Because I think a lot of people out there are, I believe you have to have it today, right? I think it's not even up for debate anymore. Doesn't matter what you do, the stats prove you've got to have it. A lot of our mortgage, real estate, financial professionals, people out there today, it doesn't matter what you do. They even said lawyers, doctors, people that think they might not need it, you need it. So let's share with some of those patterns that you've learned through your experience.
And it's crazy because 10 years ago, I saw the pattern starting and I said, social media is going to get, and this was 2013, by the way. If you can really, truly go back to that time, social media wasn't that crazy with personal branding. Influencers was not even really a term yet. 10 years ago, it was just starting to become a term, influencers. It really meant that you were broke. I'm an influencer. And it was like, ugh. Now it's influencers is like, whoa, like the Kardashians or Jake and Logan Paul, like people making 20, 30, 40, $100 million a year, like that type of influencer, like a celebrity influencer. There's a whole industry now of like Mr. Beast, Jimmy, the guy with the kid who's 23 and turned $1 billion down for his YouTube channel, that type of influencer. Yes. So you just don't know how in 10 years, Jimmy had just started 10 years ago, and now he just hit 200 million subscribers and turned $1 billion down last year. So you just don't know how fast influencer, like an industry can be disrupted. I saw 10 years of the influencer industry and I got in right at the perfect time. And then those 10 years, and I learned all the patterns and I followed it. I became obsessed with it. And now I've exited it and I'm still in it. And I'm still an expert. I still speak and do interviews and all the stuff on it. But I see the next trend starting up and I see it being AI. And also within disruptive technology, I also see blockchain and Bitcoin and things like that, which I'm heavily invested in through private equity and venture capital, AI, but then blockchain just myself. And so the trend was personal branding, being an influencer, building an audience online, leveraging social media and content to build rapport and trust at scale. That's the way that I frame it. Build rapport and trust at scale, automated. Whew! Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Build rapport and trust at scale, automated. Oh, if you could do that, how big could your brand and business get? And so that is what we're talking about when we're saying build a personal brand, have social profiles, post consistent value-added educational and entertaining content. Because what happens is people are going to look you up, they're going to see your stuff, and they're going to feel like they know, like, and trust you. And the reason why I call it a personal brand is because you have to have some personal element in there. You can't just have the professional brand and call it a personal brand if there's no personal element. You can't be the realtor who only posts about real estate because you say, oh, well, I don't think anyone's going to care about my family or my vacation, or that I'm passionate about going to the gym, or that I believe in this religion, or that I'm passionate about cars, or mountain biking, or whatever. Yeah. You'd be surprised. It adds a human element. The reason why clients work with you is because what do you try to do when you connect with them? Build rapport. That's right. And you're not going to build rapport by talking about interest rates. You're going to build rapport by talking about their family, their personal life, learning about them. So wouldn't it make sense that on the other side, they build rapport and trust with you if they feel like they know a little bit about your personal life? Now, they don't have to have the same passions as you. It's helpful. But at the end of the day, it's sharing things about what makes you unique, what makes you different than the other real estate agent or the other mortgage broker or the other person there's so many options of who to work with now. So what makes you different? What makes you special? Now, you can do pricing, and you can do your experience in the industry, blah, 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 blah. What really makes you special and unique is, I believe, if I want to get into it, I believe God only made one of you. Yeah. That is your true unique value proposition. But you're not using it. You're not leveraging it. And that's why when I say that, it might go in one ear and out the other. Because some people are just like, God only made one of you. It sounds like. Now, some people are going to be like, whoa, God only made me. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. And if you realize that and you show up in a way that feels good to you, you don't have to just go all in and be like, hey, here I am in my pajamas on Christmas. Like, you don't have to go in a way that makes you uncomfortable. Now, it might make you feel uncomfortable just to even share some part of your life, like what you're passionate about, because sometimes putting a camera up makes you feel uncomfortable. I was so awkward when I first started filming myself and like doing things like that. So there's going to be a little uncomfortableness for some people. I'm naturally introverted, weirdly enough, but I learned that in life, it's who you need to become to have the things that you want. It's not who you tell yourself that you are. And I think so many times in life, people don't build their personal brand. They don't have the impact, and therefore they don't have the revenue because they're not adding enough value. When I say impact, it's not some cliche term to throw around to sound cute. Impact means value add. When you have an impact in somebody's life or business, you've added value to them in a positive way, and that's going to yield a higher return of lifetime value of customers, referrals, etc., which is going to drive up, hopefully, top line and bottom line for your business. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about here. And so if you're afraid or you tell yourself a story about, oh, but I'm shy, oh, but whatever that is, you got to get over that. You got to be confident. You got to be able to be uncomfortable, put yourself out there, and just know there's going to be that awkward learning curve of like the first 6 to 12 months where you're going to feel bad, you're going to feel stupid, you're going to feel ugly, you're going to feel judged. And then the best, most freeing thing in the world is when you eventually get to a point where you just don't care what people think about you. That is a dangerous place to be because you're free. Yes. And free people are dangerous people because they can do whatever they want. They're free. And so when you're free to speak what you want, now social platforms could constrain you and freedom of speech, we can get into that, but you get the point. You're free. You can now post freely about whatever you want. And you're going to realize you're going to start to find your tribe. You're going to start to find your community, and you're going to start to find your people. Yeah. And that's what we're talking about here. Because when you find your tribe, you find your people, that's when the whole game changes.
Talk to me about, you opened up with this personal branding, and it's been this trend over the last 10 years that you've seen. We threw out AI. I think a lot of people are confused. We see a lot of people speaking on it,
Yeah.
and some are better than others. Let's just call it what it is. I would love your perspective on that, because you talked about that being able to do that at scale and automated. What do you see for the future?
Oh man, I see, and it's already happening now. I see lots of fake accounts where all of the content, even the person's face, is an AI generated. So they have this, they do this with supermodels. They make supermodel accounts where it's an attractive person and they're not real, they're AI. And you can just so slightly tell if it's a really good AI. It's so hard. And the crazy thing is, they have videos now where the person is on video, like, this might be my AI talking right now. You guys don't know. Maybe I'm doing interviews as AI and I fed it, because guess what? I have over like 5,000 or 6,000 videos on the internet and 1,000 interviews. I could, not theoretically, legitimately feed the AI all of my interviews and content and voice. And guess what? It would be able to make videos really close to this right now. And if you're smart and you know what to look for, it's the mouth and the eyes are the hardest thing to have track in real time. The mouth and the eyes is where you want to look to see if it's AI or not. It's just slightly off. It's just slightly not 100% the way that people are, like the eyes and the mouth. Even in the best CGI in movies, $1 billion, the eyes and the mouth is where you can usually tell that it's not 100%.
Yeah.
But it's getting there. It's going to be there. And so the point is, I see in the future us competing against AI that's it's better looking, it's perfected. It looks exactly like what people desire based on AI. It knows, it just takes from the algorithm of where do the most people follow attractive people and what's the most attractive people and content they engage with. And let's make that. It's so easy to manipulate people nowadays based on data and algorithms. So easy. So that's the future. It's the most attractive, most articulate, most funny, most educational content in the world. Because it's not, you don't have to read the books. The AI pulls from everything on the internet and it goes, that video made by Tony Robbins went viral. I'll make a video, but I look like Brad Pitt in his 30s. And I'm going to make that video and I'm going to say it, but I'm going to add a sprinkle of humor in there, like this video that went viral. And it'll be a video that goes even more viral. And so the competition is going to be nuts. And so the thing that's going to help you stand out is your personal brand. And I had to bring it all full circle here, but that's what's going to help you stand out, is actually adding the human element, the real part of you, because the AI doesn't have a real family. The AI is not real. It'll have entertaining content, educational content, but it'll miss the part about actually being real. And so I think there's going to be a really big shift that happens where creating great content is going to be harder, but that's why you don't have to worry about creating great content. You just need to dial in your niche. And the thing with the AI at some point is they'll be able to interact with an AI like social profile, talk with the AI in the chat bot, like in the messengers, direct message, and it'll reply instantly and it'll directly reply to the person in a way that's learning how they talk so that it's the perfect response to you. We already have AI chatbots and stuff. It's incredible. They outperform customer service. They outperform sales reps on follow-up in the chat, little chat box. Hey, can I help you check out? Outperforms those people. So just wait until you're able to message Dwayne Johnson and he replies back instantly and talks to you in a way that's compliant and not risky and all the other things. It's going to be incredible. And then drops a link to a product in there and asks you questions to lead you into a sale, to drop an affiliate link for a product, to push people over to real estate or whatever, to go and get a quote or whatever. It's going to be incredibly disruptive. So if you don't get into this now, you are going to miss the boat at some point, because at some point, I do believe the train leaves the station, and I think that we are 12 months to 18 months before I think getting in is going to be really hard for the average person who's already not gotten in the industry. It's like investing in Apple stock now. You missed it. You might have a better rate than a treasury bond, maybe possibly growth versus inflation and all that. Who knows? I'm just saying, you should have got in 10 years ago when Warren Buffett got in. And guess what? This is the time right now. If you don't get into AI and you don't get into social media and online advertising now, it's going to be so much harder. You're going to need a lot more money, because the big companies are finally getting into AI and online advertising. And when they drive up those ad costs, by the way, I remember when ad costs were like a penny a click. Like Talk about cheating. And by the way, the dollar was worth more back then.
Right.
So it's just like crazy, the world that we live in, and how you can just start to see trends and patterns. And I think it was easier 5 or 10 years ago. And I think it's just going to keep being that way. You're always going to say, oh, can you imagine if I started then, or bought that then? Or can you imagine if don't be that person. Start today, start right now, start creating content. Know that you're going to suck. Know that you're going to have a learning curve. Know that it's not going to be easy, but just do it. And for me, I struggled for the first 5 years. Really, if I'm just honest, I struggled for the first 5 years. And then I finally got some momentum. And the next 5 years, I started to get some success. And then in the last 3, I got massive momentum and was smart enough to be able to exit in time. So,
dude, you dropped a ton of wisdom. And I'm sure people can go back, take notes, go through that. 2 things stood out to me too. Is a large part of our audience is in real estate or understands real estate in some capacity, and building wealth is one of my beliefs. And everyone would probably agree, if you bought real estate 20 years ago, that was the best time. The next best time is buy something today, hold on to it for another 20 years. And so think of your brand as an asset. And as I listened to you, I kept thinking, man, this is an asset like no other. But I want to take it into today, because a lot of things you shared, people are probably out there thinking, okay, Mark, what do I do today? And one of our beliefs we teach our team is, AI is not going to replace you. However, the best salespeople in mortgage, real estate, financial planning, whatever, that use AI and leverage it properly, they will replace you. And so what should people be doing today?
And I want to say something too, to remind people of our bias, our ignorance bias, which is you think that you won't be replaced. What do you think Kodak thought about the digital camera? What do you think Blockbuster thought about Netflix? Those are billion-dollar companies with really smart legal, accounting, board of advisors, super smart, intelligent, successful executives with decades of experience, gone, bankrupt, broke, closed down, billions of dollars and decades of experience, and an industry market leader. You should never lose that position. They're gone. You're just a regular person. You don't think you'll be replaced? Don't have the ignorance bias. And I think that's what so many people just get sideswiped by. And so that's number one. Be aware of your blind spots, and because that's how you get hit by a car. And so be aware of those, because that's what costs most people everything. You should never lose. I've studied, I shouldn't say all, I've studied so many patterns about how people lose their wealth. And I'll make sure that as I get wealthy, I'll make sure that I never lose it. Combination of inflation and devalued currencies, that's one way. Taking too much leverage, that's one way. Being all in on something, that's another way. So just not preparing in time for when a market correction takes place to capitalize and be cash rich and be able to invest. Not having a well-balanced portfolio, but also knowing risk adjustments, so that like when you see something like Bitcoin, I have the Bitcoin clock right here, keeps track of the price of Bitcoin. When the Bitcoin ETF and the halving are going to converge together at the same time, it could go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800% up within a year. Worth the risk. A 1% allocation of the money from BlackRock will drive it up to $500,000. 1% allocation. Think about risk adjusted. How you're not going to put some money in that? Not financial advice, but just looking at the markets and studying that. I spend half my time now not making money, figuring out where to put my money, because at some point that's the smarter move to make. So from a basic level, if I'm going to give people some simple action steps, I think one of the first things that you have to do is you have to come up with a niche that's going to be valuable, because I think so many people nowadays, if you're just spitting out stats and information, you're just a commodity. You're just providing the same regurgitated stuff that other people could provide. And by the way, you have to do it, but you have to do it in a more fun, playful, creative way. And so one of the ways that you could do that is you could niche down, and just doing it for a specific type of a person, doing it for a specific type of a neighborhood, doing it for a specific type of a buyer. Now that's some basic niche down stuff, but that helps you when you're formulating your content. Another thing to do is go out and find people in the industry who've already built a big real estate following. And by the way, it doesn't have to be real estate, but it's helpful because it can give you some ideas of what content's doing well. My favorite platform to figure this out is YouTube, because YouTube, you can go back and you can rank the highest engaged, liked, most popular content with a couple clicks of a button. You just go to somebody's YouTube channel who's big in real estate, and then you can click most popular video, and it'll rank their 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 videos by the most popular. And then you can just go in and you can go, wow, these videos are the most popular. And I go and I do this to the top 10 real estate channels. I just circle or screenshot or write down the top 20 most popular videos from the top 10 most popular real estate people. Ta-da, I got 100 plus videos right there. Those are the first 100 I'm going to film. That's probably your first 6 to 12 months of content right there, with data and research validating this is what people like, this is what people want to learn from. Now, some of those videos, caveat, might have been trending because of market conditions. It might have been from 2008. It might be that old of a video. So you just have to be clear, X-nay those ones out, but also take the note and the lesson that when market trends are happening, that's the time to make a video. You want to make a video right now about the rates and how people are scared. Is it the right time to buy? Is it the right time to sell? And so those are the types of content that people are looking for right now. Should I buy or should I rent? Those are types of videos people want to know right now. You know, when could I buy now and then refi later? Like, those are the types of questions people are having, and that you should be able to answer. Also controversial and contradicting videos. If everyone's saying this, find a way to say the exact opposite and then tie it back into the general consensus or message that you want to convey.
Love that.
It's kind of like clickbait, but I don't like to be too clickbaity, because then you kind of like lose brand reputation, where people are like, oh, this guy just always says clickbait. So I click it and I watch it. And it's like, oh, I got you. Yeah. So try to avoid some of that, but you get the point. Do your research. It's not hard. It takes you 30 minutes to go and find all those top channels. And then because you've searched for those top channels and watched their videos, YouTube's going to recommend other top real estate videos and other top real estate people. And now you've just trained the algorithm of YouTube that that's what I'm looking for, and it'll feed you more of it. And before you know it, your whole YouTube feed is going to look different than mine. Mine's going to be all about venture capital, market trends, where the dollar's going, crypto, Bitcoin, etc. Yours is going to look different. Yours is going to be all about real estate if that's what you're searching for. And so you feed the algorithm what you want. Problem is, a lot of people are feeding the algorithm what they don't want. They're engaging with negative content, negative news, and the algorithm's going to give you more of that. So you want to be very sensitive to how you feed the algorithm. And then you want to be sensitive to the types of content that you're creating for your audience, and use that feedback. If a video does poorly, it's probably because the video just wasn't that good. I post stuff all the time, and ironically enough, sometimes when I add the personal component or the controversial component, I get 10 times more engagement. Yeah. I'll say that again. If I add a personal component, like my daughter's in the video, my cute little 2-year-old daughter, boom, the video is going to do way better. I could say the same thing, but because she's in it, 10 times better. Or if I say something that's controversial, immediately the video is going to get 10 times, 10 times. If I say, oh, you're going to lose all your money in this upcoming recession, if you're not prepared, the dollar's going to get devalued. They're going to print another $20 trillion over the next 5 to 10 years. You're going to be wiped out. That video scares people, and it does well. So those are, but then I say, but here's what you can do to prepare. But here's the positive. Here's what I'm doing. You can do what you want. So those are just some fun different ways to do content. I personally think somewhere between 80-20, 80% education, 20% personal is a good formula. And then as you start to realize feedback from your audience, you can start to change those numbers a little bit more to be 60-40, 70-30, or even 50-50, 50%. I'm passionate in these things. I'm passionate in working out. I'm passionate in health and wellness. This is the stuff I take. Has nothing to do with real estate, but this is what I'm taking. People are going to be, oh my God, I'm in my health and wellness journey too, and you helped me. I'm definitely using you for my next house, or I'm definitely going to refer my friend to you who's in Florida or California or whatever, right? So just some things for you to consider and think about on your content journey. But the content game's easy. If you want me to get into like rapid fire tactical things, we can do that too.
Let's jump into some of that, because the biggest thing I see at real estate conferences and mortgage right now for that group and people out there, they're all chat GPT, right? And they're all trying to figure out like how to use that to make their content better. They're like, how do I get a hook? To your point, start with something personal or even controversial. Yeah. And then to help them write it out and make it their own. How are you using it? And how would you suggest people, after they've maybe done that step, done their research, now they're going to go create content? I see people get stuck here.
Yeah, so you can use it for some of the most important parts, which would be the first 20 seconds of the YouTube video. Some people say 5 seconds, which is accurate. The point is, it's a very short window of time to hook somebody. It's between 5 seconds and 20 seconds. Once you can get the person past that, usually they're a little bit more committed to watching the video. Stats are irrelevant because they're always changing with 1 billion users a day, right? They're always changing. So the point is, you could ask ChatGPT to write you really effective hooks in the first 5 to 20 seconds. Now, you can also do some intelligent research and due diligence by going and finding the best videos that did go viral from these other real estate people. And they don't have to be real estate people. This is how Mr. Beast, the #1 YouTuber in the whole world, 23 years old, turned down $1 billion buyout because he thinks he can be worth 100 billion in 20 years, which he probably will. What he did is he studies every, not niche, every in the entire world viral video that he can get his grimy hands on to be like, oh, look at this. This is the hook. This is the thing. This is the stuff. Because he's a genius, because he doesn't need to do just real estate. He knows I can learn from everybody. And so can you. You can go on TikTok. You can go on YouTube. You can go on Instagram. You can find trending videos, viral things, and you can get those little hooks right in the beginning and be like, whoa, that's how he did it. That's how they hooked me. So watch the videos, and then you can literally write down what they did. Sometimes it's the images, it's the audio, it's the music, it's the editing, plus it's what the person said. Did they ask a question? Did they set a pre-frame for what the rest of the video is going to be? Tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. That's kind of like a framework. So sometimes you do a big open loop because the brain has to finish the loop. By the way, in this video, I'm going to tell you the 5 best stocks you can buy right now, like things like that can help you become a millionaire this year. I'm just giving you wouldn't want to say that because that's not compliant with, FTC and stuff. But you get my point is like, you could say something that's really catchy and hooky in the beginning. So those are some basic stuff. And then you can ask ChatGPT to refine it for you. Give me some good hooks. Give me some good stuff to keep people with an open loop so that they want to stick through the rest of the video. So do your research and see what other hooks are. You can ask ChatGPT, and then you ultimately have to test for yourself.
Yeah.
Those are some basic things, because that's the most important, is the 5 to 20 second window, and then the thumbnail. And you can have, AI help you make thumbnails, or you can go and find people on 99 Designs or Fiverr who look like they're, and then what I do is I screenshot like my favorite thumbnails from my favorite people. And I say, make me thumbnails that look like this, so that they're making, so that I'm not just telling them to make me a thumbnail, but I'm showing them I want this type of a thumbnail.
Oh, I love that. We've been in some of the same, and there's been some new trends lately. People are copying some of that, and I love to see it changing up where it used to be these videos for everybody, and they've got multiple different posts, and you'll slide over and it's like, hey, here are the top 5 things, to your point, about my growth or where I'm investing today, right? And there's you gotta slide over. They pulled you in.
Exactly. So it's all the hooks. That's basically what it is, like clickbait hooks that are going to get you to be like, oh, I'm interested, right? Oh, like for me, it's whenever I see something that's like Bitcoin ETF is going to be approved, and Bitcoin went up 10% in a day, which was $57 billion in market cap in 30 minutes, just because of a headline. That just goes to show you the power of a headline, the power of a tweet, the power of clickbait. It wasn't even real. It was fake news, and it drove a $57 billion market cap spike in 30 minutes just at Bitcoin. So that goes to show you the power of a single headline or a hook of what it's capable of doing.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're a master at this too. And you've obviously exited one company, you got 2 other companies, and you've worked this. A lot of people start to struggle. I think we've given them a really good foundation of, hey, here's where you can go start. For most people, if they just did what you just shared, and we talked about massive upside to this, but then you move into this whole other game that I think we've overcomplicated. And I'd love your insight about now monetizing this, right? We're talking about Mr. Beast and what he's done there, and look at some of these brands out there, and they're truly monetizing their expertise and their brand. How does that start to work, and what are some of those real best practices that you've seen?
So it's a great question. First, I can already hear people, watching this say, well, how often do I post? I usually recommend on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Post in the morning, post in the afternoon, and post in the evening. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because those are the times people are sitting down and consuming content. If you look at the most engaged spikes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for those platforms. YouTube, you're typically going to post twice a week, but it needs to be the same day, same time. So every Monday, every Wednesday at 10 a.m., I post my interviews for my show, or I post something. So YouTube, long form content, like if this goes on YouTube, hour long, whatever, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, same day, same time, twice a week. That's usually what you want. If you do YouTube Shorts, which is like Instagram stories or TikTok and Reels, then you're going to post differently. You're going to post those breakfast, lunch, and dinner 3 times a day if you want, because those are short form platform contents where people need They need the hit. They need their daily hit. Where YouTube people know they can go on there and they can expect 1 or 2 videos a week. Mr. Beast sometimes only does 1 video a month, and it was something he filmed 6 months ago. So some other tactical things. Your question was, remind me what the other question was, because I just had to make sure people knew the posting schedule, because that holds people back all the time.
I love what you shared, and I'll reframe it in a second, but I love that you said that, because the 3 a day, a lot of people, you're like, wow, 3 a day. We're just moving towards that. I love you shared it. We moved from 1 to 2 a day. Now we're moving to 3. We talked about in long form, to your point.
Yeah.
We've got the podcast, and then we do another episode on Wednesday that's like a recap. And so I love you're getting very specific.
And you take this video here. People are like, oh my God, how do I post 3 times a day? You take this hour-long video and you chop it into 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 short 30-second clips. Those 12, 30-second clips, those get posted. So now you took a long form piece, repurposed into short form. The short form gets posted. You didn't even have to make short form. It just came as a byproduct of chopping up the long interview. So that's another reason why interviews are powerful. Also, it alleviates you having to always be the content creator, because in this case, you're asking the questions, I'm doing the content creation. And so it alleviates that on the pressure for people. Can you ask questions? Pretty easy. There you go. You can create hour-long content. And then if you want, you can always just go on like Bing and Google News and Yahoo News and the stock market, and like find news that's relevant to your audience and just share the news. Most people are so busy with like life that they don't have time for all the little updates in the news. So you could just post and just be like, hey, what's up? Did you know this just happened? They just increased, government just increased the rates by, 25 bips. It's like you can just share a little news piece, and people are like, oh, and say, by the way, this is how it's probably going to affect the market. This is what you can expect. Or you can even just screenshot an article and you can type it up. So those are some little easy ways to be able to do it.
I love it. Love it. We're hitting people with practical info they can go implement right away. And my kind of follow-up question to that was really around monetization, because I think this is where most brands die. They never go in and actually monetize.
So the monetization side, I would say it really depends, because Mr. Beast could monetize his brand in so many ways. One of his primary ways is he gets paid sponsors. So people pay to be on there. So that's probably not going to happen for most people listening. The other way he makes money is he's looking for exits. So he's building up his Beast burgers and his chocolate bars to be able to sell those, which is smart. We got 200 million people. What does 200 million people probably all have in common? They probably all eat chocolate and burgers, or at least young people, which is his demographic. So they're smart. He probably gets 80% of his audience, and then he could sell those brands in the future. For most people watching this, they probably have a product or a service already. If you don't have a product or a service already, then I recommend being an affiliate, which means reaching out to companies who have products and services that already can serve your audience, and your audience may or may not already be engaged or buying from them, or they should be. And so what you do, if say I'm a health and wellness expert, is I would go and I would find what are all the products that I'm taking and using that I really love and enjoy. And then as a fitness person, I'd say, look, guys, I got nothing to sell you. I don't have a fitness program or anything, but I'm documenting my fitness journey and I'm sharing what works and what doesn't. And you'll see me get in the best shape of my life, and I'll document the whole thing, and I'll tell you what really works and what doesn't. Unlike a lot of the other people you might follow, they're already in the best shape of their life, and you don't know if they're selling you something that's truly what got them there. They might just be doing a money grab, and that's fine. Everyone's got their own thing. But you're watching me go from like not good shape to incredible shape. You're going to see my journey, and I'm going to tell you, I tried this, didn't work for me. I tried this, it was incredible. And those products you're trying, companies might give you for free as you get your brand a little bigger and your audience a little bigger, or you buy the product and then you send an affiliate link. Amazon has affiliate links. Companies will almost always give you an affiliate link or a discount code where you get some kickback, some commission. They can pay you via check, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, or wire transfer. And so you can go to ClickBank, ClickBank, go to that website. It's the #1 affiliate marketplace in the world. Without talking to a single person, you can find products, physical or digital. You can get everything you need, the link, the swipe copy, the images, and you can share that. Hey, if you guys are interested, swipe up, click here, DM me, the link in my bio, and that could be an affiliate link that has all your products where you earn commission. Now, sometimes depending on the product, you might only get 10 to 20% commission. So you're going to have to sell a lot of volume to be able to pay that rent and to be able to live off of this, which is why it's important to really build that audience and get a lot of engagement and traffic. And then eventually you can survey your audience and say, hey guys, are you interested in directly working with me as a coach? I've been getting a lot of DMs. I've been getting a lot of comments. People say they want to work with me. If you're interested, message me. I'm trying to figure this out. And then I'm going to do a beta launch or a case study launch. And so in my case, in the online education industry, it's easy for me to, before I make a course or before I make a mastermind or before I do anything, what I want to do is I'm going to survey my audience. I'm going to get an idea of where they're at. And then I'll create something based on what they tell me. And then I can do a beta launch or a case study that's usually a small demographic, 10 people. I'm going to give it to you for 50% off. I'm going to get your case study and testimony. If it doesn't work and I don't get a case study and a result, I'm going to refund you your money, because the reason it's called a case study group is I have to get the result so I can use you as a case study. And then I'm going to sell it at retail for the full price, because now I have 10 people's case studies or 20 people's case studies. The number's irrelevant, but usually a small group, so it's realistic, right? 1,000 case studies is a little bit much, but 10, 20, 30, 40 people at $500 or $1,000, that's realistic. And so that's a great way to do it, depending on what your product, service, or business may be. One of the things I did with my dad, totally weird side niche, health insurance, healthcare, is he works with brokers a lot. So he started a Facebook group, all based on my guidance, created a Thursday night YouTube channel. Every Thursday, does an interview with his business partner, and they go on LinkedIn and they cold message people on LinkedIn. Hey, I can see that you're a broker. Every Thursday, we have a Facebook group. We go live, we answer your questions, and we share best practices for how we're growing one of the fastest health insurance companies in the industry. We give you scripts, overcoming objections, how to talk to HR, legal, et cetera, et cetera. They talk about it. They do it live into the Facebook group. They cold message on LinkedIn, invited them into the Facebook group. They have 600 people in the Facebook group. They do $1.3 million a year from 600 people in a Facebook group. The people watch the show every Thursday. And then once a quarter, they do an in-person meetup with about 50 to 100 people. And those people pay anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000. Wow. And they get sponsors at the event. All from creating content in a Facebook group and cold messaging on a different platform, LinkedIn, yes, and inviting them into the Facebook group for free and doing a free live show like this. But we're also seeing people's comments in the chat while we're live, and we go, hey, Rick, hey, Cheryl, and we can answer their questions live right now. That's going to build tremendous rapport and trust every Thursday. And then every 90 days when we have a quarterly meetup and we charge money for it, they're going to be stoked to be part of that. And 600 Facebook members, they're doing $1.3 million in revenue. So that's another way to be able to monetize it. There's so many ways to be able to monetize. If you have your own product and service, it's pretty obvious. You need to grow your audience, and then you need to talk to them and engage with them and let them know what your product and services are and how they can benefit working with them. Link in bio, fill out an application, talk to us, watch the webinar, whatever your thing may be. It's pretty obvious if you already have a product and service, but those are some creative ways that you can make money if you don't have a business, product or service, be an affiliate. If you're an influencer, you can get sponsors, or you can white label like Logan Paul did with the Prime drink, Prime Hydration drink. It's not really his company. It was founded by 2 other guys, but he calls himself the founder of it on his Instagram bio for marketing purposes. But you can look it up. It's public. It's not actually his company. You can look up who owns the company. It's another LLC owned by 2 other guys. So he's obviously on the cap table with KSI. So what he did was, or what the company did was, they approached the influencer, Logan Paul and KSI, and said, hey, we have Prime Hydration. Let's have you guys be the face, get some money on the cap table, say it's your company, and let's grow this thing to $500 million in revenue, which they did in like 2 years, and let's exit it for $1 billion. And so that's another way, if you're an influencer, you can do it. I think every one of us watching this or listening is not an influencer. And so our better bets are the alternatives, right? Do what my dad did and have a Facebook group and invite people in from LinkedIn, educate them, and do quarterly workshops and that are charge people and paid for. Sell your own products and services via the phone or webinars, whatever your process may be. We did tens of millions of dollars in webinars for my old business, pre-recorded webinar. People show up, they watch a 2-hour webinar that's pre-recorded, and then it sells a $2,000 program. So we did tens of millions of dollars that way. So all my content would say, hey, if you like this, you want to grow your personal brand, register for my free webinar. They'd register for the free webinar. And then on the free webinar, they would get invited to join the $2,000 course. And again, we had so many people, 15,000 members at $2,000. So yeah, it was a beautiful business model. So there's just so many ways to make money in this game. It's just, if people contextualize it for me and said, this is what I do, this is what I offer, then I could be like, here's 3 different ways to do it. If you have a book, if you have a podcast, if you have a course, if you have a high ticket mastermind, or if you're in real estate, there's just so many ways to be able to do it.
Yeah, I love that. And that's probably a whole other show for people to actually realize what's there.
I could do literally a 3-day workshop for 8 hours a day on this stuff. So
that's also, which we're going to have you back, because I do think that is going to be a part of, we've really taken them to one point, and it's like, okay, guys, at some point you want to move to that next stage and what's there. And for many of them, breaking some of that down, I think would be tons of fun, because the way people use Facebook groups and don't. I love how you brought LinkedIn, because that was my first social media platform way before I had Facebook and Instagram. And so I'm I'm a loyalist over there. LinkedIn's been good to me.
Love it.
Dude, so we could continue to go on and on and over, but I want to respect everybody's time. We're definitely going to have you back. What have I not asked that you have learned in the last year? And you talked about what you see going forward, but what have you learned that people may have missed the pattern that's changing around their personal brand, potentially how to garner more customers or to actually monetize? What are they not saying that they should?
Oh man, my brain's going in a million different directions. Because part of my brain right now is focused on acquisitions and mergers and roll ups. I'm involved in a really big roll up and merger right now to go public next year. And so my brain's like hyper focused on that and how I'm looking at all companies from that lens of like EBITDA and scraping off like their team and expenses to drive up EBITDA for the roll up and then the enterprise value that adds. And so like my brain's like all into that, which is like a totally different world than what most people know me as, is like online marketing. I'm into this new game, which is super exciting and fun. And it's a whole different world. It's like, oh my God, how to quickly get to $1 billion valuation, like through just acquiring companies, it's crazy with like 50 or maybe $75 million, we'll be able to acquire, I know it sounds crazy, but over $36 million in EBITDA, and through the roll up and bolting in some tech and software onto that, and then going public. I mean, it's a really fast way to get to $1 billion market cap. And it's just like, what? Like, you give me $75 million, I can acquire about 36 million in EBITDA the right way with motivated sellers in this market, and then merge them all together and roll them up. So the enterprise, because it's not 36 million altogether, it's like 12 different companies that which are all valued at lower EBITDA multiples. But when you put them all together, the EBITDA multiple goes up, and then you go public, and then boom. And so it's just like, whoa, you're telling me I can raise $75 million of other people's capital, buy and roll up 36 million in EBITDA, and then take it public and like get $500 million to $1 billion pretty quickly, like in market cap, and then have a liquidation event or borrow against it. Like, it's just such a different way of playing the game. And so like, I think that's something that I think a lot of people should be looking at, is not who are you and what do you do and what are you best at, but who do you need to become, what should you do, and what should you be best at.
I think it's a powerful.
That is it. That's why I'll be worth 9 figures by 40, over $100 million by 40, easily. I'll probably smoke that number. But it's because of that. Like, I became a multi-millionaire in the online education space, but I'll be a multi-centimillionaire, multiple hundreds of millions of dollars in my 40s because of that. If I did what all the other guys in my industry do, which is stay online marketer, never have an exit, and never pivot to those questions of who do I need to become, not who am I, what do we do, what are we great at? Those are the questions that keep you stuck. Yeah. I think it's an evolutionary phase we live in right now, because there's a good chance in 5 years your business gets disrupted in a way that drives your revenue and enterprise value down if you stay in the industry. And I just think that we live in a time where answering those questions, who do I need to become? What do I need to be the best at? What industry do I need to pivot into? I think those are the questions that could save people's livelihood and also help you transform the quality of your success to a whole nother level. And so, I mean, there's so many things people are probably missing. They're missing the fact that they didn't already build their personal brand for the last 5 or 10 years. They're missing the fact that they didn't do online advertising when the cost was 5 to 10 times cheaper. They're missing the fact that AI has been around for 40, 50 years, and you're just now realizing it's going to be disruptive. Like, you've already missed so many of the big things. It's the fact that you haven't been asking those questions. Because if you were asking those questions, then you would understand that sometimes it makes sense to let go of what you've been doing for 10 years or 15 years and start all over in something that's faster, more attractive, more money's flowing into it. And so I think you can make a living, or you can jump on the rocket ship. And for about 8, 9, 10 years, I was making a living, and it was a good living, right? It looked like that. And so it kept getting better. But I mean, I know a lot of guys who make 7 figures, but their net worth is pretty small because they live off the 7 figures after taxes and live in the lifestyle. Who's a millionaire? They don't invest very much because they're scared. They think it's smart to pay off their car in cash, their fancy car in cash, and pay off their house in cash, and maybe own a little bit of real estate and have some debt. They think that's the move. And you don't get to have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% increases in your net worth when the market's right and you get in right if you just play that game. And so it's a totally different game. It's not the game for most people, but it's the game I'm getting into now. I'm really excited about it. And I think those are the questions most people should ask, because I just feel like there's always going to be a new widget and a new gadget and a new AI and a new ChatGPT and a new social platform and some new disruptive thing, and Apple's going to have some new thing, and there's always going to be a new thing. You remember during COVID when there was like 3 new social platforms that came out? There was like Clubhouse, Periscope, and all those ones. Yeah. And everybody gravitated to the new thing, and now it's just dead. It's just gone. So people some people I know, super successful guys, they put in like hundreds and hundreds of hours of their own personal time away from their family, their business, hoping maybe this is the thing and I'll get big on it. And it's dead. It's gone. I put like 2 or 3 hours max into it at a time, because I was like, this is nothing. And so I think that's the problem. I think inside of your question, if it's answered incorrectly, it could lead people to more of those widgets and gadgets. What's the thing I'm missing? What's the thing I should get on? What's the thing? Mm-hmm. And I think even AI is like that. I think AI is going to, so many people are experts in AI now, and it's been popping off for 12 months, right? And everybody's an expert. And I think that there's 6,000 new AI softwares and widgets and API overlays on ChatGPT, which is all they really are. Is just, they're just APIs overlaid on top of ChatGPT. They're not really a software company. They're just a little tiny bit of code on top of ChatGPT. It's just ChatGPT, actually. A lot of my buddies, even, what's that one company? Jasper.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
My buddy Dave Rosenberg was one of the founders. They're valued at $1.5 billion. They are nothing more than API overlaid on ChatGPT before other people knew about it. Wow. They're valued at $1.5 billion. So again, it just goes to show you that they were slightly ahead. Everybody now has a API overlay, copywriter, assistance software on top of ChatGPT. They just did it first, and they're worth $1.5 billion. And my buddy Dave Rosenberg was in our industry, education and stuff like that, and he pivoted into software with AI just a little bit before everybody else. Boom, all the money's flowing into his company right now because it's the hot thing and he got there first. Oh. So I just think it's helpful for people to think differently. And Jay Abraham is a great guy for you to listen to if you want to continue to think differently and have your paradigm just shifted. Is Jay Abraham. One of his books is How to Get Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. He's got so much material, 10,000 hours easily on his website, most of which is for free. Go listen to his YouTube videos, buy all of his books, listen to him. He'll change your life. But man, Jay Abraham changed my life in ways to think differently. And I think that's what people need. They need to know how to think differently, because what got them to where they're at is their level of thinking, their identity, the way they've been playing the game. And I think we're getting into a world now where things are going to be so disruptive. And the cool thing is I don't have to really think differently and play differently. I'm in a position now, luckily, from doing all that already, that I have money and I can just put it in all the different things that might be the next thing, and let people smarter than me and more successful than me, hopefully through venture capital and private equity, let them figure it out, and my money can just go for the ride. But that's the place to get to at some point, right? Is like your money makes you more money than you make. And that's the goal. Is I don't have to work, because I can put my money to work 24/7, 365, and it will go out and it will make $1 million for me while I spend time with my family. And so if that's the level that you want to be at, then take what I'm saying to heart, which is not who are you, what do you do better than others, how can I disrupt the real estate space or mortgage space? No, it's going to get disrupted already. It's not going to be by you. It's not going to be by you, probably 99.9% of the time. And it's harder for you to do it than it is for you to just invest in the top 10 disruptors. And if one of them takes off, your money's in all 10 of the top disruptors, and you're going to win no matter what. And so that's a place to get to. If you're there already, I consider that. Again, not giving financial advice, but it's better to invest in all the disruptive things and ride the winner than it is for you to figure out how to be the disruptor, because that's an easy one. Almost everyone can do that. But if you really broke down the odds of one of the people listening to this being the next big disruptor, the next Elon Musk, the next Jeff Bezos, almost impossible. But if you just like venture capital invest in all the things, you have a good chance of getting one of them right. So who do you need to become from here in this disruptive technology era and AI era that we're growing up in? And if you believe in historical data, the dollar's going down. They're going to print trillions of dollars more. It's going to make it that much harder for the average person to buy a house, which means if you're in real estate, you're going to have a lot harder of a job because less people are going to be buying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So think about it. The government is going to ruin your job for you. And you know who's going to be buying up those houses? BlackRock, Fidelity, all the big companies. That's the goal, is they want to own 80, 90, 100% of the real estate market so that it's not even people. So good luck if that's your job. It's going to be wild. It's going to be disruptive. So answering those questions and figuring out who do I need to become in this new, rapidly changing, every 100 to 200 years, governments make massive changes and resets. And we're in one right now in America. It might be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. But they're going to just obliterate the US dollar. And we're going to live in a really unique time. And I think it's a time that most people have never seen in their lifetime, including 70, 80, and 90-year-olds. Ray Dalio, the billionaire, even said, I've never seen this in my lifetime, and I'm a 70-year-old billionaire, one of the best hedge fund managers in the world. And he says, we're about to witness something that's never even happened in his lifetime. 70-year-old billionaire hedge fund manager, Ray Dalio. Changing of the times, we're going to be in it, whether it's 2, 5, 10, 15 years, it's going to happen in our lifetime, definitely in mine. And you, on the other side of it, can be part of the 1% of the wealthiest people in the world, or you can get smashed and crushed. And I hope that everybody listening at least has just a little bit of awareness and spark lit inside of them that's like, whoa, maybe I should spend a little bit more time figuring out who do I need to become in this changing world, and what do I need to learn and develop, and what new skills do I need to sharpen? Because even if you start over in a new skill that's trending and part of the future, you're better off doing that for the next 5 years than you are doing the same old thing you've done for 20 years. I'm telling you, starting over in a brand new thing for 5 years that's going up is better than sticking to what you've been doing if it's going down.
Yeah. Well, we could jam on this forever. I think you've opened up a lot of things that people are going to have to think about. They're going to have to make some decisions about who they're becoming, what type of new information they're going to start seeking, and all these things start to play in. So, Mark, I can't thank you enough. We're going to have you back on and have some other ideas for us, as I know the audience is going to listen and go, whoa. You guys come back, rewind to here. Let's go into this. Let's go into that. And
we got weekend workshops, brother. We can do.
To say, and I think it's needed out there, right? Because they need real people with real results that are actually helping people, like you said, move forward, and not just playing this game of moving things around and doing the same old stuff. It's time to move forward. So
it is.
Friend, thank you for investing time. That is the most precious asset we have, and how you just show up. I just want to honor that and tell everybody you've been in for a treat listening to this. Go back, rewind it, share it with people. We share this with people that we love and care about because we want to help them get to a better place. And some of these episodes, I'll tell you myself, I go back and listen to a couple times and make notes. Let us know any questions, follow up, what you're taking away from this that you're actually going to implement. That's how I love to learn back from our community and our audience is, what did you learn? What are you implementing? And then share those wins along the way so we know how we're serving you, how we can better serve you going forward. So, Mark, thank you, my friend, and we're going to have you back on soon.
Thanks, brother. Pleasure to be on the show.
Catch you guys in the next episode.